Welcome back or welcome front if it's the first time joining us. I am Joshua with Weird Gaming Adventure and the future content curator of Adventure Game Hotspot website. And with us is
Steven, otherwise known as Adventure Game Geek.
collectively, he and I are the adventure. I forgot what the name of the thing is. Run it back. Welcome back or welcome front if it's the first time joining us. I am Joshua with Weird Gaming Adventure and with our F me in the butthole. Welcome back or welcome front if it's the first time joining us. I am Joshua with Weird Gaming Adventure and with us is
Steven, otherwise known as the Adventure Game Geek.
And together we are the Adventure Game Hotspot podcast. Today we're going to be talking about full motion video, FMV adventure games. And you know what? There's more adventure games that are FMV than I thought. When I was looking over the list and kind of going over some show notes for this video, I was thinking, man, I might not have played that many FMVs.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
Well, no, I'm the same. When I was looking through the list on, I think it's FMV World. It has a list of all the FMV games. Yeah, and also it's because like I can never figure out like which games are FMV and which aren't. Like, I mean, I guess like an FMV game is basically any game that has live actors in it. Like, is that how you would define it?
I would describe them as ultra corny in a good way.
Right.
You notice that? Because all of these FMV games, they are super over the top, almost like a drama queen overacted. The spaghetti goofiness. That's why, we have Under a Killing Moon. We have a lot of detective, Gabriel Knight, The Beast Within, their detective style games. And it suits the genre really well because they are very sensational. They are very overacted. It works really well with horror because if you get a woman, fantastic. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. Which is and I guess that's why there's quite a few kind of horror or murder mystery FMV games. So you've got like Beast Within, you got all the Tex Murphy games, you've got Dame Was Loaded. That's another like detective mystery, Black Dahlia, all that stuff. Ripper, which is not one of my favorite games, but
well, we're going to specifically talk about the FMV adventure games. But so this is actually a good transition point for us to really start this conversation up. I love Toonstruck. I love it.
I love Toonstruck too. Yeah.
And I never really thought about that being an FMV, but it was.
Yeah, and I I was exactly the same when I was going through the list. I was like, oh yeah, Toonstruck, and I guess it is because it has it has that kind of Roger Rabbit thing going on where it has like the real actors inside like a cartoon.
Very much so. You got Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
And some of these FMV games, they went big budget because they can.
Well,
they go ahead.
Yeah, and like that was one of the selling points. Like, like they try to get like a big name actor like in the game, so then they could put them on the box because like you look in the box and it says like starring Christopher Walken like in Ripper or like Christopher Lloyd in Toonstruck, and it's a great selling point for the game, or like Dennis Hopper in Black Dahlia. So
you said it. I was just about to mention Dennis Hopper and Black Dahlia. They have some big ones, and Gabriel Knight series always has big name actors. But then you got on the other side, you have the developers themselves, like in Tex Murphy. He actually did his own acting, and he did good. Gosh, I can't remember.
The creator of Tex Murphy. Oh God, I should know this immediately. It's Chris Jones.
Chris Jones. So Toonstruck, would you put that in your top 100 adventure games?
I probably would actually. Yeah, yeah. I haven't actually compiled my top 100 adventure games.
Mhm.
I know that you have because you've been going through them, and you just did numbers 51 to 60. Again,
Thank you.
yeah. Like every time I look at them, I'm like, God, look at all these adventure games that I haven't played. You know.
Oh,
Um,
I bet you've played a lot of the games that are
I played
on this week's.
I maybe played half of them. Obviously, I played King's Quest 7. What else was on there? Was Toonstruck on there?
No, Toonstruck
Oh.
was a couple weeks ago. I had that in my 70 through 80 list.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I took some
Yeah.
flack for that. A lot of people were really upset that I had it so low down the list. And I had to
Yeah.
say, you know what? Look at the rest of the list. See what wait till it's out. What am I going to bump out of there? So, but yeah, I really enjoyed Toonstruck. I thought, okay, this is probably gonna frustrate some people, but I think it actually may be a little overrated. Everybody crashes their car, everybody tunes off right now, but I think it might be a little overrated, and that's not saying a bad thing because it was so highly publicized. They put so much money into marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that I think that people automatically they were going to like it no matter what.
Right.
And the fact that they didn't come out with a second one, they spent so much money on it that I think that in itself makes it a little bit, they overrated themselves. They set their expectations almost too high for the game.
Right.
And that went a long way in possibly ruining the genre. That was about the time frame when the genre just started crashing. And a lot
Hmm.
of people say, well, they put so much money into Toonstruck and it was a commercial failure, a big time commercial failure. When you have to truly do all of the animation, when you have to do voice acting
Hmm.
is very, very expensive. They got some expensive voice actors, but they
Right.
spent so much in marketing. They spent $1 million in marketing at a time when companies weren't even spending $1 million on a game.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really were hoping that would launch the adventure game genre to new depths. Instead, that was just a bad time when consoles started coming out. There was more access to different types of games. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
and it was a huge failure.
I don't remember everything about that game. I just remember certain things. I for some reason I remember this one scene where there's like a cow who's like being tied up and whipped.
More! Don't spare the rod! Whip my cream!
For some strange reason, that scene kind of stuck in my mind.
It,
So
it's
I'm-
it's a little masochistic in a very Sam and Max style way.
it's not something you see every day, and it's not something you see very often in adventure games, except maybe in like Phantasmagoria 2 or something like that. But,
Okay, so you said it. So let's trickle down that path.
mhm.
Phantasmagoria. This is the time where I tell people once again that if I have not played a game, I won't make a statement on it. And Phantasmagoria 1 and 2, I'm a bad adventure gamer. I have not played it. I have not even seen a walkthrough, even though I pretended like I
Uh-huh.
did when I talked with Roberto for our interview. But I haven't played
Oh,
that. I have not played 11th Hour. It's just something to do with, I always assumed there was like some demonistic stuff to it. And that stuff gives me the heebie jeebies.
well,
And so,
I personally wouldn't recommend. Well, you played the Seventh Guest, right?
that's
Uh,
no, not 11th Hour, not Seventh
Oh, you haven't
Guest.
played that
Uh,
either. Okay,
mm-mm.
all right, okay. Oh
Not,
well,
not, didn't play Shivers.
oh,
And
you
so,
didn't play Shivers. Oh my god. Okay,
no,
I gotta make a list of all these things. Like all the
I'm
And
gonna be the cow that gets whipped after this. No doubt.
I can't really talk because you know, even though I have played those ones, there's like plenty of other ones that I haven't played that I'm sure you have. But I personally wouldn't recommend playing the 11th hour. Like I don't normally dislike adventure games. Like that was one I just did not like. It just it really, you know, got on my nerves, that one.
Playing this game makes me feel like I'm constantly being abused by a creepy old man.
So let me ask you, we've touched on two things. We touched on Phantasmagoria and we touched on the 11th guest and 7th hour. Would you like to discuss 7th?
No, it's the 7th guest and 11th hour.
Yes. The 7th guest.
11th hour, and then there's also the 13th doll, which was the fan game that came out after that as well, which is kind of like a tribute to those. So.
Well, you kind of gave the review of 11th hour. Why don't you give us a brief rundown of 7th guest? What did you think of 7th guest?
I enjoy it. I feel the same about the 7th guest as I do about Myst.
It was released by Virgin Games in 1993, the same year as Myst, and like Myst, it made use of the new CD-ROM format to incorporate live-action video. The introduction is presented to us through this storybook, which looks like one of the linking books from Myst. I wonder if we're going to be walking around finding red and blue pages.
So there we go. Let's jump to something that I know that you are. I mean, you're the adventure game geek. You're the Sierra guy. So this is what I know that you want to talk about. Phantasmagoria. Give us a brief rundown of what Phantasmagoria 1 and 2. Give us the premise and give us a quick mini review.
Oh, of Phantasmagoria 1 and 2?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me think. I also did videos on these, so of course you can watch the videos, but let me try my best to summarize. So yeah, Phantasmagoria 1, obviously, you know, it's like a Roberta Williams designed game, like very different, you know, very different from what she did previously.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you know, much edgier, you know.
She went from the princess to the princess in distress, essentially.
Right, exactly. And I really appreciated that, like the fact that Sierra was always, you know, like they didn't just stick with one thing. They were always kind of exploring, you know, new territory. And Phantasmagoria, like, you know, those were like the early days of FMV, and that was really kind of, you know, like groundbreaking stuff at the time. Playing Phantasmagoria 2, playing Phantasmagoria 1, for me, the experience is a little slow at times. I find it a very slow game. There's a lot of looking in that game. You know, like you click on a lot of stuff and you just kind of look at it.
Adrian is not the most talkative of characters. In fact, she spends most of the time just looking at things. Ooh, looks like something's gonna happen. Any second now. It's coming. Oh, never mind.
But as a game, I have to admit I don't find it as playable as some other games, and I actually enjoy playing Phantasmagoria 2 more than I do 1.
This game is something of a guilty pleasure for me, which I always enjoy coming back to and indulging in its phantasmagoriness. It's more like watching a B-movie than playing a game, and it's a lot of fun to watch the story play out.
Just over a year ago, like the actor from, like the main actor from that, who plays Curtis Craig, Paul Morgan Stetler, yeah, he has a channel called Conversations with Curtis, you know, and so he kind of like talks a lot about, you know, the behind the scenes stuff of like Phantas 2, and he's been doing kind of, you know, let's plays, like he's been doing like a let's play with the lead actress from Phantasmagoria 1. So like you've got kind of both leads in both of those games together, like playing the game, which is awesome.
Yeah, I've seen references to them on like Facebook groups and
Hmm.
stuff, and so I'm gonna have to check it out myself. Now, Phantasmagoria, you know how I said the ghouls and ghosts and stuff give me the heebie-jeebies. Is that what Phantasmagoria is about? Because if not, I want to play it.
No, what, like ghouls and ghosts?
Yeah,
No.
demons and all that.
Well, demons for sure. Yeah, because the first game, yeah, the whole story revolves around the evil spirit of like this magician, who's kind of
Oh, okay.
who's haunting this mansion, and like the guy who moves in there like gets possessed,
Oh,
by the
yeah,
spirit.
that's a no-go for me.
Right, right. It's, yeah, like his spirit is kind of released.
Mhm.
It's kind of like Pandora's box, like opening Pandora's
Right.
box, and it kind of comes out. And like for me, that's the most interesting part of the game, is when he gets possessed, like seeing his like transformation and like him kind of going totally crazy.
I'm really hungry, honey. Let's order some pizza. A little extra sauce, huh?
You
So
monster. You
yeah,
monster.
and and it's also a great opportunity to really to really see like the best like the best FMV acting, because you can really like ham it up, and like some of that stuff of him just like going crazy is just brilliant.
Oh, Adrian! Adrian, my love!
So yeah. Oh, and also like one also has that puzzle where you have to, where there's like a locked door and there's a key on the other side of the door, and then you have to put a piece of
Paper?
paper or newspaper or whatever under the door and push the key out. I can't tell you how many times like you have to do that in adventure games. Like it's such a overused like cliche.
Well, because it's a real way. So I actually learned that in an adventure game. I think it was like Jack Orlando or something like
Right.
that.
Uh-huh.
And I
Uh-huh.
tried it in real life just to see. So I hadn't played Phantasmagoria, but I knew what you were referencing. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, like I mean, yeah, it happens so many times in adventure games. It was in Mystery of the Druids. I mean, there's so many games where it's it's in that one.
oh, the greatest box cover ever, Mystery of the Druids.
Yes.
Oh man, classic. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's just jump to the greatness. Let's jump right to the greatness here. Gabriel Knight 2. Oh man, oh man. Now, I was not a fan of FMV games until Gabriel Knight 2. There's only one that I liked prior to that I'd played it prior to that, and that was Pandora Directive. And I think it's because it somehow managed to use everything that FMV is good at, the video, the ambiance and everything, and have a perfect story with it. That's what made Gabriel Knight 2 so good, is that the story was fantastic and it melded perfectly with the FMV aspects of it. What'd you think of Gabe 2?
I absolutely love Gabriel Knight 2. Yeah, yeah. I think it's yeah, as you can see from my background, yeah, this is one of the real locations that they base the game on. So in the game, this is Schloss Ritter, but in real life, it's called Burg Rabenstein, I think it is.
Some German name.
It's it's yeah, and like Berg means castle, and so yeah, it doesn't have the same name. Like the Ritter family doesn't live there, and they're not shadow hunters.
They've been invaded by vampires. They're no longer there, guys.
I think it's definitely one of the best FMV games for sure, and I think yeah, like you said, like excuse me, like the story is so well developed, and it also has such a great basis in like history.
Oh yeah. You give me a story about Knights Templars, vampires, anything like that, I'm in, buddy. I'm in.
Right. So yeah, so I think like because they obviously did, like so much historical research, and you can just tell that there's like a lot of history and depth behind it. And I think that and the fact that it's kind of rooted in that reality, I think that adds a lot to it. And also that like you really care about the characters, and the characters go through like a really great like transformation. And also the soundtrack by Robert Holmes is amazing. It's like one of the best, like for me it's like one of the best adventure game soundtracks.
Shout out to my homie Robert Holmes. So I had to give a little bit of the game boxes out here for the FMV for this episode. So tune in to the end, and we're going to be ranking our top 5 FMV games, and I'm pretty sure Gabriel Knight will be on there.
I think it has to be in my top 5, and I'm sure it's in your top 5 as well.
For sure.
Probably along with one of the Tex Murphy games, either Pandora Directive or Under a Killing Moon, I would guess.
Okay, that's awesome. You gave us a transition point here. So let's talk about what everybody first thinks of when they think of FMV adventure games. They think of Tex Murphy, the tough guy, Chris Jones as Tex Murphy. Am I to understand that you've played him?
Actually, well, here's my turn to say that I haven't played all the Tex Murphy games, and I've only played Under a Killing Moon. Yes. So
only?
Yeah, that's the only one. I've been meaning to play Pandora Directive for a long time. It's been on my list for so long.
The thing about Tex Murphy games is it's easy playing. I mean, you can invest 20 or 30 minutes into it and just it's like you're watching a movie type thing. I think it's pretty obvious what you're doing throughout the series. So it's not like you have to invest 2 or 3 hour session to get in. Like some games, to really feel, to get encapsulated into the game, you have to spend a lot of time. And as an adult, we work, we have lives. You can't really spend 20 or 30 minutes, especially Pandora Directive. You could pick up any part of that game from the beginning, for the opening credits to the end, and you will just kind of just enjoy your time. You're just interacting. That's what you're doing. You're interacting with the game. So as an adult, you got to do it.
Yeah, I remember playing Under a Killing Moon, and like I found it very entertaining. It was a little difficult at first getting into it. Like I seem to remember having some trouble getting used to the controls.
For me, the thing that took some getting used to is the control system, which uses a combination of the mouse for movement and the arrow keys to look up and down. Here's what my first attempt at playing the game looked like.
Well, that's one of the things that limits Under a Killing Moon. Under a Killing Moon is a good, solid adventure game. It's a good, solid adventure game. But you get at the point where Pandora Directive is there, they've mastered it. They've mastered the controls. They've mastered the camera angles. They've mastered the corny horror aspects of it.
Right.
A little bit of Alien here, a little bit of a Private Detective there. So Pandora Directive, I'll give you a little tip into my list. I believe that's in my top 20 or 15. My top 20 or 15, and that'll kind of let you know where Gabriel Knight 2 stands.
Yeah. See, I was guessing that it was going to be in your top 5, but
well,
I guess I was wrong.
I'm talking of all-time adventures, not just FMV.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking in your FMV list. God, excuse me. Yes. I don't know. I got a little bit of a cough today. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it'll be in my top 20 of all-time list. So I had a hard time choosing between Gabriel Knight 2 and Pandora Directive as my favorites. So
well, I don't have a hard time choosing because I haven't played Pandora Directive
by default.
So by default.
Okay, well, I'll remember that. So when we're doing our rankings, I won't have to choose that one really quickly then. So I'll leave that towards the end. Okay. So I guess we could talk quickly about what was on my list that I came out today. I believe I was doing 60 through 51, and I believe it's number 54, Black Dahlia.
That was one of the most tricky games I've ever had to get, working. It's one of those like Windows 95 games, a little bit like Ripper, where it can just be really awkward. And so I really wish I got that running, but I should probably give it another go sometime.
Well, if it was tricky to get it installed, that's just a prelude to the game, because that game is hard.
Oh yeah, what makes it hard? Like the puzzles or what?
The puzzles,
Yeah.
100% the puzzles. Most adventure games, the puzzles are rather illogical. Okay, they're pretty easy to solve if you could kind of become illogical like the game. They're so sensational, so over the top that you're trained to solve a puzzle this way. You combine this and this and this. It's quite the opposite for Black Dahlia. It's so logical. I mean, it's too smart almost. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a genius or anything, but I also wouldn't call myself stupid. But it is designed for, so you're solving a crime. It's designed for someone who's really intelligent, who could really gather the clues. It's one of those type of things.
Okay, so to play the game, like you really have to think like a detective then?
Yes, you cannot miss. You can't miss stuff, man. You just can't miss it. So really, really difficult game, but that's part of its charm. A game shouldn't be blown right through, especially this type of game. If you're an adult, you're playing an adult style of game, just get in, enjoy the ambiance, enjoy the history. It's a true story. It's based off a true events that has happened. Obviously the protagonist Jim is made up and everything, but Black Dahlia, as a history fan, like it's always I've always watched the shows like Unsolved Mysteries and those type of things, and you are in there solving that mystery, a cover-up, all of these things. And you mentioned Dennis Hopper. Whew.
Yes.
Chilling. He's chilling.
He's
scary.
Well, I think he's actually in more than one game. So he's in that, but he's also, there's like one other FMV that he's in. I think it's Hell, like a cyberpunk thriller or something.
The dude's just creepy. He's made for that stuff. He's made for that stuff. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Dennis, if you're hearing, I'm not calling you as a person creepy. You as your persona that you take over to play these characters is
that's
creepy.
Usually, that's the kind of character that he usually plays. Right? He'll play the bad guy, like in Speed or Waterworld.
That's right. He was in Waterworld.
He was in Waterworld. Yes.
Terrible movie. Just a terrible flick.
And he just had one eye in that. Which made him even creepier.
Is there any obvious ones that we're missing that you could think of?
There probably are. I mean, you mean like the more well-known games?
I want to do the genre justice before we get to our top 5.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the ones I've written down are definitely not the more well-known FMVs. There is Harvester. Harvester is classified as a FMV.
I never played that. Have you played it?
I have, like several times, and I was doing a Let's Play of that. That's the only kind of Let's Play that I've done on like my channel, and it's like a eternal Let's Play because we never actually finished it, and like I keep coming back to it. I was playing it with Arno Malin, who's like a Harvester expert. And
really?
He knows, he's obsessed with Harvester, and he knows everything about it, and he has like all these kind of like behind the scenes documents.
Well, you get the honors this week. So we do our top 5. We each choose, well, one week one of us gets 3 and the other gets 2, and vice versa. Each week we kind of tic-tac-toe around with that. So you get the honors this week. So you get 3 games, which means you have number 5 on your list. What is number 5 FMV game?
Actually, I haven't put these in any particular order.
Okay, no particular order. What's game number 1 through 5?
Well, in no particular order, which we both agree on, is Gabriel Knight 2: The Beast Within. Yep, that's definitely on my list and always has been.
So you wanted to make sure you got that under your tab before I nabbed it. So smart man.
Sorry. Actually, I should probably give that one to you, because there's actually some lesser known FMV games that I could mention instead.
Oh yeah, pay some homage to it. Yeah. Okay, go for it.
Okay. So actually, like one I was gonna mention is Jack's Ring. It's a Hungarian game, and actually I'd go so far as to say it's kind of like the Hungarian Beast Within, basically. Because the story also has like a lot of history behind it. It's set in like a real location, and it's one of those games where, you know, it has like real photos of real locations. It's this place called Aga in Hungary. And it's like a beautiful place to explore. Like I've never been there, but I mean, if I did, I would want to do like a location tour like I did for like the Beast Within. And it's a really great game. It's a real like kind of, you know, hidden gem of a game, because it like by FMV standards, it actually has really great acting in it. And it has a really deep story. Like the gameplay is really good. You know, there's tons of like great locations to explore, and there's also a character in there that's played by a Hungarian rapper called Gangsta Zoli. So, you know, like how can you not like that?
Fürcsikézünk. Megmondtam, hogy ne találkozzunk.
So mine is the real Beast Within. You mentioned that, you know, Gabriel Knight too. My friend, my boy, Gabriel Knight. We talked about it already, but just a true gem of a story. Jane Jensen, just really, she knocks it out of the park. All right, give us another one.
I'm gonna say Zelengorm, Land of the Blue Moon. Okay. Which I'm sure you know everything about.
Oh yeah. Let me count all the things I like. One. And then I know it's an adventure game. So
everyone knows Zelengorm. Actually, no, like it's not very well known. It's actually not. It's not an entirely complete game. It's episode 1 in what was planned to be like a whole series of games.
Oh no.
Yeah, like, and they planned this, like, it was actually a really grand plan that they had. You know, they were gonna get like all like you know, some well-known actors involved. I thought that it had so much potential, like, you know, just like the vision that they had for it. All these, you know, because in the first episode, that, you know, you find a map where it's, you know, it shows you, you know, kind of all these places that you're going to travel to. And in the opening, it has like, you know, all these like strange scenes of like, you know, all these different cultures and stuff like that. And like people wearing like weird outfits. And you're like, what is this? You know?
Okay. So I think I need to get my obvious one out since I only have 2. It's Pandora Directive. We've talked about it. It's great. So. It's truly great, guys. Truly, truly great. One of the great games. And it'll be in my top 20 of all time, all adventure games. So, all right, give us another one. This is your last one, but we'll give you a couple honorable mentions too.
Okay, I'm gonna go with another one that's probably not so well known. Is Anna Capri, The Dream.
Okay.
And it's another game a bit like Jack's Ring, and also the Kaori games as well. I'm a real sucker for these games that have like real life photos in them, because I just like kind of exploring real locations and stuff like that. So like Anna Capri is set, like on the island of Capri, or is it Capri, however you say it. But yeah, like I really love that one because again, like the location is beautiful. It actually has some really really decent characters and puzzles and stuff. It's just like I find it like a really nice game to play.
Okay, and when was that one released approximately?
Oh, I'm not really good with years.
Okay.
Probably the 2000s again. I don't really know offhand. Oh wait, hang on a sec. I have the box here so I can tell you.
Oh, okay.
It was hang on. Wait, if I can read it.
He takes off his glasses to read.
Yeah.
On that one, I vaguely remember a name like that, and so if it's, I'm trying to see if
2007. Okay, yeah, it's kind of roughly what I thought it would be.
So we've done our top 5. Now, why don't you give us a couple honorable mentions briefly?
Let's see. Honorable mention. I'm gonna go with General Horse and the Package of Doom.
You like these long titled ones.
It's like, yeah, you've got Zelengorm, Land of the Blue Moon. You've got like
I have no mouth and I must scream.
Like, okay, yeah. If you don't know General Horse, it's the most ridiculous, crazy like FMV game I've ever played. It's just like I can't say it's like a really great game because it's not, and the developers know that it's not. It's self-consciously very just bad and cheesy. But,
so it's like a cheesy martial arts movie where it's so bad that it's fun, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
It's one of those, but I just find it just like hilarious, like to play. It's not really so much of an adventure game. It's more of a kind of a resource management type thing. It's like you're just flying through space on this spaceship, and then you have to like manage your resources, like your food and stuff, and you can like visit different planets and talk, encounter people. And so if you want to play like a totally random, ridiculous game, then that's for you. I personally find it hilarious, but some other people might look at it and say it's absolute rubbish. So
but be your own judge. Try the game out. You got another one for us?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Gothos.
Hey, it's a short one.
Yeah. It's right. Gothos. It's I like that one because it's to do with like vampires. I think that also has some basis in reality because it's like based on, I think it's Montreal or somewhere in Canada.
So real locations then.
Right, exactly. And in fact, like another YouTuber, the Pretentious Hipster, which I would highly recommend. Like his channel is really like undersubscribed. Like his videos are excellent
and not at all pretentious.
Right. right. So he was planning to do like a location tour for that because he lives in Canada. I think he actually lives there. Like he lives right near there. So he was going to go to the cemetery, and there's also a theater as well. And so I was like, well, if you're going to go, I would, I'm prepared to go up to Canada and and go on that trip because I'm always up for that.
Just up and go to Canada, everybody. I'm always up.
Yeah, sure.
I'm always up to just go to Canada, have some donuts, yeah.
But yeah, like again, that has like cheesy, like the kind of cheesy acting. But it's really interesting, and there's a lot of different ways that you can approach a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either go around like biting people and sucking their blood, like or you can play it nice.
And eat the
it has
rats, suck on the rat's blood. Is that what it is?
No, you can suck on like anyone that you encounter. You can just decide either to like interact with them or just bite them. So,
but either way, you're
yeah.
gonna have to suck on some blood eventually.
So that's another one. Yeah, like so the great thing about like FMVs in particular, it's not just the most like the well-known ones. It's not just like Phantasmagoria, like Beast Within, and like Tex Murphy and all that. Like there's so many other ones that that you may not have heard of that I think are like definitely worth checking out.
Well, there you go. Anything you want to say on the way out, my friend?
About FMV games or
about anything. What are you working on?
Oh, you mean what am I working on for my channel?
Yeah,
I'm working on different things. I'm actually really busy these days because I'm trying to get through like the rest of the King's Quest games that I haven't already reviewed. So like I'm doing 3 and 4, 3, 4, and 5, and maybe Mask of Eternity. And so yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing a few collabs with people. I'm doing a collab with T the Writer. He has a channel where he does mainly kind of D&D stuff. But like he keeps going on at me about reviewing Starship Titanic. Like it's like a running joke that he's like, yeah, you should do Starship Titanic, and he keeps mentioning it every time. And so I'm like, okay, all right, let's just do a collab together, and we can both do it.
So make sure you head on over to Adventure Game Geek on YouTube, like everything that he does because you'll like it, and subscribe because that's just a nice thing to do.
Right, and you should also do the same thing with Weird Gaming Adventure as well.
Oh, if you do, I'll love you in a weird way, everybody.
What does that mean exactly?
That's it for this episode, guys. For Adventure Game Geek, I am Joshua, Weird Gaming Adventure, and I gotta get out of here. We'll see you guys.